This teenager came to his friend's house not looking for his friend but to continue the clandestine romantic relationship he had begun with his friend's mother. This widowed old lady is surprisingly happy with her relationship with this child, which is why sometimes she forces her son to bring his friend with him even if he doesn't even come. Where do you think this hidden love relationship will end up, and what will happen when her son discovers this connection? Hello, my dear family, welcome to Nemex Recaps. Today I have brought you the most popular movie called Sinister Seduction, which was released in 2019. My family, please help us by liking the video. Without wasting time, let's get started to the movie. The movie starts with a man named Mark who is out jogging. Suddenly, another man comes up and stabs him, killing him. After that, we meet Mark's wife, Sharon, who is very sad about losing her husband. She is also struggling because people found out he was having an affair and his real estate business is not doing well. One day, Sharon wakes up and gets ready to take her son, Anthony, to school. Anthony doesn't really want to go to school, so Sharon asks him if someone is bullying him. He says no and gets ready for school. Next, Detective Barnes visits Sharon. He is working on the case of Mark's murder and has been friends with Sharon since they were kids. Barnes has liked her for a long time, but she hasn't given him a chance yet. At school, a boy named Brent bullies Anthony. Luckily, another boy named Dylan comes in and chases Brent away. There's also a girl named Megan whom Anthony likes, but he is too shy to talk to her. Dylan helps by introducing Anthony to Megan and then takes him to play football. Brent is still around and breaks the rules during the game to hurt Anthony. Dylan helps Anthony a lot when they play together. Later, in the dressing room, Anthony asks Dylan why he's being so nice. Dylan replies that he understands how Anthony feels because his own dad died 2 years ago. After that, Anthony finds that his clothes are missing from his locker and goes to check the bathroom. He realizes someone, a bully named Brent, has thrown his clothes in the toilet. Dylan then goes home with Anthony. When they get there, Anthony tells his mom, Sharon, about his day and she is happy. She has planned a party at their house because Anthony is making new friends. That night, during the party, Dylan goes to the bathroom but accidentally walks into Sharon's room. He sees family photos and then Sharon comes in. They talk and Dylan shares about his dad's death. Sharon comforts him. A few days later, Dylan visits Sharon because she works in real estate and her house is for sale. She doesn't want to live there anymore because it reminds her of someone named Mark. Dylan tells her that his uncle is interested in buying the property and they look around the house together. A few days later, Anthony plays better than Brent during football practice. Brent gets upset because Anthony is doing well, so he decides to put Anthony's clothes in the toilet. But this time, Anthony's locker is locked. Then Dylan shows up and sees Brent near the locker. He tells Brent to stop bullying Anthony. Meanwhile, at home, Sharon receives mail from a man she used to date. She has gotten similar letters before, but she hasn't told Detective Barnes because she feels awkward about discussing her past relationship. When Sharon tells her secretary Katie about the mail, Katie suggests she talk to Barnes, but Sharon makes excuses and doesn't share anything. Dylan encourages Anthony at school to ask Megan out on a date. Anthony asks Megan and she says yes. That night, Anthony takes Dylan's car for the date, so Dylan stays at Anthony's house. With just Dylan and Sharon at home, they talk about the problems in their lives. Dylan asks Sharon to tear out some pages from Mark's book, and she feels much better after doing it. Meanwhile, Anthony's date is going great, and they kiss in the car. Later, Sharon is taking a bath at home. Dylan goes into the bathroom and takes off his clothes to join Sharon, which starts their affair. Later, Anthony comes home from a date, and Dylan leaves to go to his own house, which is in very bad shape. This shows that the life he was showing to others was not real. We find out that the letters Sharon was getting were actually from Dylan, meaning everything happening is connected. Dylan also becomes friends with Anthony for some reason. A few days later at school, Brent tells Anthony's girlfriend, Megan, that something is wrong with Dylan and that he is hiding something. Megan doesn't believe him, but Brent suggests she check Dylan's school file since her mom works in the office and has access to student records. Later, Brent meets Dylan and tells him he knows one of his secrets. This makes Dylan nervous because he hopes Brent doesn't know too much. Dylan then makes plans and talks to Anthony, insisting that Anthony must support him. Dylan cuts his hand with a knife and tells everyone that Brent did it. Detective Barnes comes to the school because it's a serious situation. He talks to Sharon, and when Barnes asks Dylan what happened, Dylan claims Brent stabbed him. When Barnes questions Anthony, he feels pressured to confirm Dylan's story. With all the evidence against Brent, he ends up being suspended from school. Sharon comes home with Anthony and asks why he never told her someone was bullying him at school. They start arguing about it. Anthony had seen Sharon tear up Mark's books, and this made him think Sharon didn't care about Mark. Then, Sharon learns that Anthony knows about her past relationship, which her date mentioned to her. Angrily, Anthony leaves. Later, Sharon gets a message from Dylan, who wants to see the house again. When she goes back to the house, Dylan is there, and they start kissing. While they kiss, someone secretly records a video of them. The next day at school, Megan shows Anthony the kiss video she recorded. She found out the truth about Dylan and had gone to meet him when he called her to the same spot where he kissed Sharon. Megan tells Anthony that Dylan is lying about everything. His real name isn't Dylan, he finished school 3 years ago, and he wanted her to record the video of him kissing Sharon. Anthony understands everything but doesn't say much. He tells Megan that this is his mom's second affair. Then Megan asks him about the incident where Dylan got hurt with Brent's knife. Anthony lied that day and left without saying anything to Megan. Later, Dylan meets Megan and grabs her phone, taking a video while she leaves. Dylan then runs after him. Eventually, Sharon finds out that someone has posted a video of Dylan and her kiss online, and she gets worried. Detective Barnes shows up and tells Sharon that he has been removed from the murder case because it isn't moving forward. Sharon then tells him about the video and the guys who met her, which she hadn't mentioned before. This makes Barnes mad, and he leaves. Meanwhile, Anthony gets a message from Megan inviting him to Dylan's house. He doesn't find anyone there, but then Dylan attacks him from behind, and he faints. We learn that Dylan had used Megan's phone to message Anthony. Dylan pretends to be Megan and tells Sharon that Anthony will stay at his house today. Later, Sharon gets an email from her old lover, Joe, inviting her to his house. Megan informs Detective Barnes about it before she leaves. Meanwhile, Dylan also sends an email to Sharon. When Sharon goes into the house, she finds Dylan there. He reveals a big secret. Sharon's old lover was actually Dylan's father. When people found out about the affair, Dylan's father killed himself, and now Dylan blames Sharon for it. He wants revenge and admits that he killed her husband, Mark. He gives Sharon a knife and tells her to kill herself or else he will harm Anthony. Sharon refuses and stabs Dylan in the leg, then runs away. Detective Barnes arrives, and Sharon tells him everything. Barnes goes inside the house looking for Dylan, but he's already gone. Sharon and Barnes then head to Dylan's house to find Anthony. Meanwhile, Anthony wakes up tied to a tree in the forest. Megan is with him and they manage to free themselves. Finally, Sharon and Barnes arrive at Dylan's house looking for Anthony. In the woods, Barnes gets left behind, and Dylan shows up and attacks him with a knife. Barnes gets hurt and then faints. After that, someone takes Barnes' gun. Anthony arrives and tries to talk to Dylan. Then, Megan surprises Anthony and attacks him from behind. Sharon grabs the gun and knocks Dylan out with it. She is about to hurt Dylan, but Anthony stops her. A little later, Sharon decides to give Detective Barnes a chance, and they start dating. Meanwhile, Sharon and Anthony's relationship also improves. The movie ends here. Please, my family, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.